What's up, family? Guys, I hope today is what's happening, right? I hope everybody enjoying their Friday and shit. And if it ain't Friday somewhere else, this is ours, right? So we enjoy Friday. The weekend's coming on, and we're getting ready to do a couple of things. A lot of us are, right? I ain't got no spectacular to do, right? But I enjoy the weekend because it means that I get a chance to relax a little bit. You know what I mean? My mind frame changes, and I get a chance to relax. At least I believe I can relax. Here the deal, guys. This is what's up, right? I'm looking at the situation with Meta, and I've told you guys about all the horrible things that could come from it, right? But more importantly, what we have to do in judging or dealing with anybody is being able to look at their history. All right. Now, things change because, like I said before, I used to be a piece of shit, but that changed, and it changed because I had to deal with me by being in prison, by being and having an opportunity to see who I was and if what I was doing caused me to be there. Yeah, it was expunged, or shoot, not expunged per se, right? But reversed after the first year. But I stayed there because I realized that I had made some people very angry about my past. All right, so it was time for me to reconsider some of the things that I was doing, as well as some of the enemies that I had made, based on what I knew about myself and my conscience. I knew that I'd done a lot of shit that was contradictory to who I believed myself to be. So I'm saying all this to say this, okay? I would like to be able to look at the meta platforms and anything that has anything to do with Facebook or Mark at in any manner as the past. But then we've just gotten into the meta platforms, and they're already screaming about the the problems that stem from the past. The same thing, same bullshit, same things we've been going through before, except there's more control, which seems to be the theme of everything we get involved in any tech platform whatsoever, social media platforms. They change. They go from let's have fun, let's get with everybody and do things, to a nightmare with these things that we are involved in are affecting us and changing us, and not in a good way. I look at some of the things that people do in that the things that they support. The one thing about celebrities that rings out about it about above everything else is that it's about the influence they have on people, on the populace. And the strange thing about it is that in these celebrity dorms or realities, they're not just white anymore, but they seem to be geared toward having a little bit of every part of the rainbow involved in them. But the message that they're giving is what the problem is, just like with the meta platforms. They're providing us with an outlet that encourages us to be selfish as fuck, take advantage of anybody we possibly can, and above all else, the the I guess you could say the necessity to not care about each other, meaning that it's all for one. And it also promotes the instability of relationships. These are the things that we're getting from celebrities. But they seem to be working in cohesion with these platform messages because that's what they're getting as well. Which leads me to believe there's a central hub. There's something controlling these factors that are feeding this particular information to separate us, to destroy our very foundation. Our relationships are important, the relationships we have with one another. But when we're taught that, it's me, it's all about me, let me do me fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. It's about me. That's it's a bad practice or state of mind for one reason more than anything else. It isn't. No matter how much money an individual has, he's got to step outside the door. He's got to go and do other things. And if you've got a bunch of crazy ass people or people that don't give a fuck about each other, what basically happens is that you can't enjoy what you receive or what you work for. Because really, there's nobody to share it with but yourself. So you're stuck in your own little world and you don't want to fuck with anybody else because it's about me. That mentality is the reason why we're so behind at this particular point. Rather than share something positive, an individual will share some bullshit about they rich and about how nice it is to be rich and I don't give a fuck. That ain't it. What's important and what should be important is a message that's trying to convey that we need to be together and that we need to pursue knowledge. We need to find out about ourselves and our history, because it's also been revealed that, hell, everything we thought was real is some bullshit. That's the same thing with these meta platforms. We're looking at these platforms and we're seeing all this abilities to indulge in this fictional bullshit. As we know it, history is a fictional account of bullshit. So what these platforms do is that they further integrate that particular ideal as well as the people that we look up to. I'm not here to judge anybody, but giving my opinion like anybody else is a right for me to do so, because I do live in this world. And I do want to be able to walk out my door and enjoy the people that I fuck with outside when I leave out my door. Or even when I come online. I would rather see people happy and doing what they are able to do to build strong relationships and to move forward. A part of that is being able to deal with something called the truth. And that reality-based shit. The problem that we're faced with, many of us, is that when we start school, we get introduced to the bullshit. We don't get a taste of reality, because if we were, we will be able to see what bullshit has cost us. I mean, I've said it before, and it's basically the truth. The history of the Bible is about black people. Okay? It wasn't meant per se to be a religion. It was about people and how they lived and the reason they were on this planet for so long and control. But we find that they weren't the only people that were around. And in that particular case, we begin to understand that when you are the chief shit, you've got enemies. You've always got somebody trying to pull you down. My people's biggest problem or biggest fault was based on they got to a point where they didn't give a fuck about anybody but themselves. And when they did that, they started to indulge in activities that weakened their resolve. The funny thing about it is that they turned this history into a religion. And the same thing that happened to my people are happening to the people that have indulged in their history. The country or the world as we know it now is in the same condition it was before my people lost power. Now, what's important about this part of my lecture or my story is that we're being fed that again through these platforms and through these tech companies. We're seeing laws being broken. We're seeing people selling people again. Slavery is supposed to be against the law, but it's real. Sleeping with children, adults sleeping with children, is supposed to be a crime. And it's that way so that you can perpetuate or build a stronger future. And you can't do that if everybody hates one another. If young people hate older people because they feel like they've been deprived of the things they needed to in order to think clearly, to feel good about themselves. The point of the matter that I'm concerned with is that this isn't as simple as this. Everything that we indulge in at this point in our lives is geared towards self, pleasure, and separation. At some point, I would like to believe that the social media platforms, tech companies, and things that we indulge in daily, all day, will change their message and try to provide for everyone an opportunity or an option to find something positive. Because at this point, everything that we are involved in is trying to prevent that. So as it is, we suffer. Kids are committing suicide like they've never done before. And the dysfunctional family is a reality now. It's something that we can't escape because it's something we have to live with. The point of the matter is, for many of us, we are driven by the things that we look up to, the things that feed us the information we need to move forward. And in order for us to learn to separate ourselves from negative things, we've got to be able to call them what they are and stop indulging in them. When we do that, then we send a clear message to these different influences that something's got to change. Because if we don't do that, what actually takes place is that it gets worse. The condition of things become completely toxic, like many of our relationships between genders. It's got to stop. And it's time for us to send a message to these influences that we've had enough. You know, the funny thing about it is that I talk about Facebook so much for one particular reason more than anything else. I had an opportunity to see how it works. I had an opportunity to see that it don't give a flying fuck about nobody. We won't talk about what its real agenda is, because I think you already know. The problem, though, however, is that they don't change. They don't care. It's a pretty piece of hardware with malice intentions. Now, we've got to make a decision to stop becoming involved in our own mass suicide, or willingly go to our graves, understanding that whatever it is that we leave behind is going to suffer because we don't care. Now, I do. And I'm hoping many of you do. Because that's what it's going to take for little Jimmy and little Jane to be able to be happy. And for this species to survive beyond the point that we are now. I'm just hoping we can come together and start to stop this trend of not giving a fuck about anybody but yourself. Guys, I love you. Hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.